Oh, no camera on. That was brilliant. In a second here, this black rectangle should switch to a camera view of my lovely face. There we are. Okay. Hey, welcome back to the Practical Microservices stream, everyone. Exceptionally late start today because why? I had to learn about Hugo and RSS feeds in a blast. I have way more things open here than I intended to. Let's close them. All right, there we go. Yeah, so I updated practicalmicroservices.com because there was an obnoxious problem when you're looking at a post where there's this panel here that would cover what you were looking at. So that's fixed. But in so doing, I made a new about page for it as well. This page nearly went out as today's email, so I'm glad that didn't happen. Last other thing before we dive in, we're only going to have like 12 minutes today, so kind of a short stream because of quickly trying to fix this. But last reminder for tonight's meetup. Oh, there it is again, wanting me to log in, probably because I'm going to an edit page or something. Didn't look in the URL too closely, but yes, this is tonight. We are going to look at the concurrency issue that we covered here on the stream, but do it in a way more concise manner and have it be more of the group talking through the solution. I will share the solution that we actually came up with here on the stream, but I want to develop it, and maybe in the course of the meetup, there will be other solutions that I didn't consider that would have been better. Don't know. We'll see how it goes, but that's tonight. There is a Zoom link, and if you want to come to it, please RSVP so that we can recognize you and let you in. All right, with that out of the way. Oh, we're already on the right scene here. Silly me. Okay. Yesterday, wow, Notion. I wish there were a way to permanently lock that on the left there. Let me actually, sorry, real quick. That is today's. Anyway. All right, these were some things for myself to fix with the website. We are continuing with identity component tests. So I don't quite remember where we were. Okay, we just got it to this point where the event, we're looking to see if the registered event has been written, but it has in fact not been written. So if we were to run this right now, we'd get an error because that register command that we're trying to use there is not visible to the handler. So we make that visible by including messages commands. There are other ways, but that's how we're going to do it. We could also like straight up be like not account component. Wow, this is the identity component messages commands. We could do that, but that is verbose. And I don't know. I'm not opposed to verbosity, but I don't think it helps the understanding here. Or rather, using the shorter method here, I don't think it harms the understanding. Maybe it does when you're really new at developing, because you're like, oh, wait a second, where did this come from? It may not be immediately obvious here. So, but I think we've covered it enough that that'll work just fine. All right, cool. So now we have the bare bones handler there. And the typical flow here is just really do the minimum to get our test to pass. And our test right now is just checking to see if a registered event is written to the stream. So all we would need to do to get that is say, hey, registered, let's grab a registered new. That'll fail now because, or for the same reason that the command failed, we haven't included the messages in here yet, or the events rather. There they are. Great. Let's run again. Sweet. We're not getting a crash anymore. So now we just need to take this event, registered, nice, and just write it to stream. Now our test should pass, and it does. Great. Okay, so The next step then is to test to make sure it was written to an identity stream. Like so. And so we do written to stream equals writer. I think it's written. And we pass in the registered. And it's then we send it a block where we will get the stream name, I believe. There are other parameters that come, but that's the one that we care about. And what we would want to say is that that stream name is equal to identity ID. And now we should fail because identity ID is not declared anywhere. Indeed. Great. Happy about that. So now here's where we start getting our preconditions pulled into the test. This is what necessitates them. So this should have an identity ID, and I would expect that to come from this register command as its identity ID, or just fail. Because if we don't have it at this point, there is no point continuing. And what you can see is that there is no identity ID coming from the control. I thought there would be, that we'd maybe put that in before. This is why we put the preconditions in. They catch assumptions. Oh, look at that. What is our control? It has absolutely nothing in it. Actually, I don't know why I thought we would have put that in there, because we wrote this yesterday. I thought maybe we had put it in from when we, excuse me, made the client however many weeks ago that was. All right, so let's put it in there. So we would just say, hey, register, and whatever we do, we're going to end up returning it. Now a register identity ID, we would grab that from the ID control, and we could just say example, I believe. Let's have a look there. Yeah, I think we can do that. I don't care too much about what particular stable ID we use. Test did not perform an assertion. Okay, so had I spoken faster than I ran code, what I would have said is, okay, I think we will have the identity ID and run now. And that's what happened, but we don't actually have an assertion in here. So test bench is like, what's the point of a test without an assertion? Not going to let you get away with that. So what we want to assert written to stream. Now when we run, right. My bad. We're getting the assertion failure now, which is what we want, because yes, indeed, we are writing a message, and I don't actually have the chat open, so I don't know if anyone has said anything. My apologies if you've showed up and I've been ignoring you. Let's fix that, shall we? Okay, I have the chat open now, so if you say something or said something and I missed it, please try again. All right, yeah, so now we were just, first step, just make sure an event is being written of type registered. Now we're making sure it's being written to the correct stream. So now that we have a failing assertion, we are finally ready to make sure we're writing it to the correct stream. So to do that, we would need to get the ID, the identity ID out of here. So we could just say identity ID equals register.identity ID. Great. Excuse me. And then we would need to build the stream name that we're writing to and pass in the identity ID as we do that. And then we can just, I wonder if I could make my life easier in this flow if I started calling or putting that stream as stream underscore name. So that when we get to the point that we're actually writing it to the correct stream, just come in and delete those. And now we pass. Great. Why did we pass? Did we? Oh, I see. I thought maybe the category identity line wasn't in here already, but there it is. So we're good. Neat. All right. So now we move on to checking the attributes. So the sort of established pattern within the community is to do another context there. And let's make sure that the identity ID on the message, mind you, is correct. So what we would say is assert that registered.identity ID is equal to identity ID. And this should pass because we're just making a new registered event. It might also fail because the registered event doesn't have the properties. Let's have a look there. Oh no, it has the 3 properties, so it won't fail because of a method missing error. We had to put that in place before, so that the user credentials aggregator would have an example events to actually when the user credentials view data component. Anyway, ID doesn't match, so let's make it match. Instead of register.new, we will say follow the register command. And that should be enough. The register command has properties that the event doesn't. Can't remember if that crashes or if it just ignores them. It ignores them. Okay. Now, the one trouble with this, of course, is we get a crash. Oh, no, we don't get a crash. As we add additional properties to the command, those values, excuse me, are going to make it over to the event when we do the follow. I'd rather see a test failure in between. Let's see how that plays out again real quick. The next, what would it be? I think it would be email. So we can grab that line, and this would just be email, and this would be email. We get an error because email is not defined as a local variable, so we should have a name error. We do. Come up here, copy this, grab email, and now runtime error because the register command control doesn't have an email on it yet. There's those sweet words, runtime error right there. Looks like, again, that I'm not showing the entire terminal window. Let's fix that real quick. And let's see, so register.email would equal email example, because we have that control in place already from having made the client earlier. Now, we're either going to pass, which I'm hoping doesn't happen, or we'll get an assertion failure on the email. We passed. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So what I would like to see is we have everything in place except for the handler copying the attribute over. And I would like to first see that assertion failure. It didn't work, so that we could know that our implementation handles it. We're using follow. We know that's how follow works, but I would really like to make sure that it's working for the right reason. So we're going to exclude email just long enough to get an assertion failure. There we go. And while we're here, we can change this to password hash. Now we'll pass, and we'll know it's because follow is doing the work of copying that over, and that's where we want it to come from. Hey, I don't have my hat on today, SB Ditto, so thanks for calling me beautiful person. Prepping for the meetup. Currently, no. I've only got like a minute left. Ended up streaming for about 15 minutes today. I think I'm prepped. It's going to be another one of those not heavy on slides meetups. Because we're discussing through the I don't know if you've seen it, so let me pull it up again because it's so much fun to do. I don't know why it just doesn't want to. Anyway, here we go. In the composite project that we had, there is a concurrency issue that some folks found, and so we are going to see why that is and then fix it. You may have shown up for some of the development of that. I don't remember. It was spread out over enough calendar days that I forgot. But that code is done now, and it's in a good state where I can replicate the error quickly. So it's going to be more of a discussion. Like, I have a solution for it. Oh, you were there for some of it. Okay. Yeah. I think the solution is good. Oh, right. We went through the event model and how the requested event went away. Yeah. So, okay. So you get the general idea of it. Anyway, I don't want to just like, here's the problem, here's how I solved it. I want it to be more of a, hey, let's talk through this. And then a discussion of the implications of any solution that we picked. The one that I picked works, I believe. I thought the first one worked, so maybe I'm wrong. But it's not the only way to have fixed it. And I think far more interesting than just and here's how to fix it would be, let's talk through what the implications of the other solutions would be. And so that's what it is. That's what we're going to do. And I don't need slides for it. So I think I have prepared for it. And it's a very strange feeling for me to feel ready for a presentation earlier than when the person who goes up before me is speaking. That's kind of how all my conference things have played out, which is embarrassing, but I suspect I'm not alone in that. Anyway, yeah, so we were just working on the, thanks for the LOL, the identity component, because we got the Rails thing working. Am I happy with the way that it turned out? Not sure. It's not how I would love it to be, but I don't know how much of that is the way I did it isn't good versus just the frustration with how to make it work with Rails anyway. So with that done though, we now have the Rails app writing the register command. And now it's time to flesh out the identity component to actually process that command. And that's what we're doing. I think we can finish this test real quick before we get closed for the day here. We're just testing the attributes on the registered event that gets written. So we can do that, and then password hash. This will fail because password hash is not defined locally. There's that sweet name error. So we can come up here, make sure that we're getting it from our control. Now it should be an assertion failure. Uh-oh, it isn't. Oh, runtime error, right. The control isn't providing it. So come here, password hash equals password hash dot example. Now we should get the assertion failure. There we go, because we left in this exclude right here. So now we can go ahead and remove said exclude, and voila, the golden path test works. It's not idempotent yet, but that comes later. And this style of very deliberately going through, pulling all the things in, I didn't used to do it like that until we were doing the meetup, and it was a few months ago, like maybe up to half a year ago. I'm not sure. Let me pull this up. Pretty sure we have the recording of it, but a gentleman named Scott Abbott presented. Yeah, here it is. It was 4 months ago. And he really walked us through, like, be real deliberate. One step at a time, make sure it's failing along the way. And like, I got components, I could write them and ship them successfully, but that method of doing it, of just stepping through it one step at a time, really cemented it in my mind what the pieces are, why they exist. And I just, like, I was going to say, like, especially if you're not familiar with how to build these, do it that way. But the thing is, I am familiar with them and I still find value in doing it that way. So I just think it's a better way to write tests. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk, SB Ditto. And anyone else who's here. I'm going to go ahead and commit what we have here. Do a quick diff, make sure there's no trailing white space, because that is the root of all evil. Okay, looks good. Git add, git commit. Oh, you have to spell commit correctly. Let's see, register handler golden path works. And I'll push that up so that it's available to download, to check out, to clone, whatever you wanted to say. Anyway, hey, thanks for coming. However brief today was, hopefully you're able to make the meetup. You, meaning you, SB Ditto, or anybody else. But if not, we will have the recording and get that up to the YouTube channel. I don't do any post-production on those. except in that one case where we got Zoom bombed. And so it usually doesn't take that long to put them up. What takes a long time with YouTube videos, I mean, obviously, if they're scripted, scripting them takes a while, filming them takes a while, editing takes longer than either one of those, in my experience. But then there's the hang up of like, oh, I got to type up a description for this. But because it's a meetup, we already have a description and it's just the meetup text. Anyway, have a lovely day. Catch you later. Happy coding.